What's up YouTube? This is JP Panther back with another video, and today's video is another Star Wars discussion video. So this is breaking news. Again, I haven't had time to do it because this was like late at night while I was sleeping. So on Deadline, right? Star Wars setback, Game of Thrones writers David Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones writers, they're quitting the Star Wars trilogy. Like, if you guys don't know, they were given the Star Wars trilogy, the 2022. It was going to be like an old Republic story, so it was going to be before the Sith and the Jedi and stuff like that, and before all of that, like thousands of years before the Sith and the Jedi and the Counselor and stuff like that. So they were offered to do a trilogy, and they quit. And we're going to read the article right here. The Game of Thrones writers who in 2011, they did Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, they were supposed to usher in the post-Star Wars era of Star Wars with a brand new 2022 new start story that would stake out a new frontier for the era, defining cinema brand created by George Lucas, blah, blah, blah. This is what they said in a statement. "We love Star Wars," the pair said in a statement to Deadline. "When George Lucas built it, he built us too. Getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was the thrill of a lifetime, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything." Here's the thing, right? It is very interesting. In my personal opinion, this just says how I truly feel. I feel like the way, if you guys don't know what happened with Game of Thrones Season 8, the last season, I saw like the last episode was pretty bad. I mean, it was really, really bad, killing everybody off, and like the chick with the dragon, stuff like that. I feel like, in my personal opinion, they dealt with so much backlash when it came to the last season of Game of Thrones, and like the people and the fan base had such a negative backlash towards them. Like the actors and the directors and like the two writers, they were getting like death threats, getting cursed out, and socially outcast by society, stuff like that. The two the two writers, they didn't even show up to Comic-Con this year because they were scared of dealing with the backlash and dealing with the confrontation of the fan base and people in general, because people really hated the last season of Game of Thrones. But the point I'm trying to say is that I think they quit because they said it's creative differences. I think that my personal opinion is that they saw what happened with Game of Thrones. They just came off of this backlash. And I feel like the way Star Wars is as a fan base and as a fandom, they're so toxic and demonic. And the problem is the Star Wars fan base has never been that progressive at all. And I feel like they don't want to deal with that type of backlash, but 1,000 times worse. Because the Star Wars fans, listen, I'm a Star Wars fan as well, but they're a lot more demonic, and they have a lot more hatred, a lot more demonic, and a lot more passion than the Game of Thrones fans, than the Marvel and DC fans. Like, this is a 40-year fan base from the 70s to 2019. So the energy and the backlash will be a lot stronger, and I just feel like they don't want to deal with, if they mess up with the new Star Wars trilogy, they don't want to deal with the Star Wars fandom, dealing with death threats, dealing with all this other stuff that George Lucas had to deal with during the prequels. I feel like they're like, you know what, we seen what's happening with Star Wars, we dealt with all this crap with Game of Thrones, let's just quit. And supposedly they got offered a trilogy, and the thing is that they probably, I forget the exact what happens, that they were offered like a big contract, and they probably had to pay penalties, because in these contracts you have to pay off penalties and stuff like that if you guys are going to opt out these kind of contracts. I think they were just like, you know what, we'll give you the money back, we'll pay the legal fee or whatever it is, and just be out. And they had a deal with Netflix and stuff like that for like 9 figures. But I do feel like, in my personal opinion, like, would you rather work with Disney or work with Netflix? And I do feel like they did it because they just didn't want to deal with the backlash, and they don't want to deal with the fandom and deal with the demonic aura of the Star Wars fan base 24/7. And also, I read in an article how they're saying that George Lucas built it, and when he built it, he built us. If you guys don't know, Bob Iger, he released this book pretty much saying that in Bob Iger's new book, is that he said in the book that George Lucas felt betrayed because they didn't use his outline for his sequel trilogy script. He gave him like the script, whatever, and they pretty much gave him the middle finger and said F you, pretty much. And I feel like the two Game of Thrones writers, they reading that or seeing that and being like, if they did that to George Lucas, the guy who created, Imagine what Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger would do to us as the Game of Thrones writers. You feel me? So they're just as movie writers and television writers. So they're just like, you know what? We'll be out. We don't want to deal with the fan base, and we have all these issues, and we'll do our Netflix thing, and you guys gonna have to find something else. And also, I do think it hurts them because the problem is that they have to find new writers. They have to find a director. Rian Johnson, I don't think he's getting his trilogy. In my personal opinion, I really personally don't think he's getting his trilogy because he's really walking on eggshells right now with it. He's very being tiptoey with it. And I do feel like the way the Star Wars fan base is, I think they're just out in my personal opinion. I just feel like they don't want to deal with all that right now. That's really it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you guys surprised? This is pretty much breaking news. Are you guys surprised? Are you guys excited? Are you, like, shocked? You know what I mean? Just, you know, it's crazy because, you know, just to wrap this up, is that before, you know, is that there's YouTube channels like Geeks and Gamers, World Class BS, and stuff like that, and they're really happy. The Phantom Menace, they're very excited that Disney is taking losses because a loss for Disney is a win for them. So those YouTube channels and like the Phantom Menace and the other Star Wars fan base who really hate Disney Star Wars, they are having the time of their life right now. They are celebrating and they can't wait until Disney Star Wars crash and burns. And also the problem is, another thing before I wrap this video, is that The Mandalorian just dropped a trailer like last night, the second trailer, and the problem is you got The Rise of Skywalker coming out in 2 months, so you don't want this type of media news breaking out when you're trying to promote you're trying to promote a Star Wars TV show and you're trying to promote a Star Wars movie, and this is supposed to be a last Endgame type movie, and I feel like they did not want this going out, and I just think the two Game of Thrones writers, they really didn't care, and they just said, F it, we're done, and it's going to change a lot for Disney and Lucasfilm. That's really it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. Rate and like the video and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Peace and have a great day and take care.